Top of the mountain, thanks to the Big Apple. Just in case you forgot what it felt like, FC Cincinnati fans, the club has given you again those first place vibes with a little assistance from Miami and Columbus collapsing. I don't know if it was international duty or injuries, just a lack of depth in the league, but it was a wild, funky weekend. I think around MLS. Cincinnati had their own troubles, of course, with Robertson and OB being out, and well, the cream rose to the top. That or FC Cincinnati happened to hit the worst two teams in the Eastern Conference at the perfect time. Chicken and egg kind of thing, though, right? Are New York City FC and the Revolution the worst teams, or did FC Cincinnati make them the worst two teams in the Eastern Conference? We have all these deep mysteries to solve tonight. You are listening to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, a podcast that literally lives its name. I am Boston. Let's get the cast in here. First up, Mr. Brian Weigel, the man who prepares our show each and every week. We appreciate you being on, sir. How are you?
I'm just trying to fight the algorithms to make sure we don't get shadow banned on Facebook every other week. So doing the Lord's work, coaching soccer, getting into season shape this weekend. Had two matches, went 1 win, 1 draw. So first 2 games in LSO United's history. Let's go. Proud of my boys. So had him back out on the pitch tonight. That's why I'm still in all my red gear right now. So yeah. They got home about 8:15.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah. I didn't know the school nights did this late. I mean, I'm out of the scene though, but all right, Jason, we will throw it to you. How you doing? Welcome into CST.
I probably look as good as I feel. So I told Brian before we started, I told both Brians before we started, I've been battling a cold and I just took some Claritin D. So we have about an hour before I start hallucinating and pretending that this is a New York Cosmos podcast. So let's keep it on track tonight, boys.
Jason, you don't have red hair, so you automatically look better than I do, pal. So
that's a reference. How many new FC Cincinnati fans know who the New York Cosmos is? Do you want to throw a percentage out there?
I'd say a good 40%.
40.
I think we have a knowledgeable fan base.
All right. Yeah, it's been a bit, since they don't play anymore.
Yeah.
But if you were a fan of like Paley and all that back in the day, I think that's
Come on, guys. I know how many of you can't get any of my like USL era trivia questions, so I think that's a way lower percentage.
Yeah, but Cosmos are kind of historic. Some value to that name.
Just like saying the US Open Cup's still relevant.
Damn.
Man, they're already.
At least get us through the intros before you start throwing haymakers. All right, we'll throw it to the other Brian, the more polite Brian Biedenbach.
I'm good, man. I'm just glad I remembered where the unmute button was this week. Struggled a little bit last week, but coming in a little bit late myself tonight from having dinner with some friends, some of the newest FC Cincinnati fans here in Fort Wayne. I don't know that they know that yet, but we'll get them on board here soon.
Hey, always drafting. It's nice.
Always recruiting, always drafting. You betcha.
Well, I'm happy to have this cast in tonight. We got a fun week to talk about. Not as much controversy, not as much FC Cincinnati worries, unless you're wondering, can they do it against the strong teams? And we're going to find out here really soon. Our show is sponsored by Apollo Home. A new season, new great deals from Apollo. Kick off the 2024 season. They're offering heating tune-ups of your HVAC system, whole home plumbing evaluations, and electrical safety evaluations, all for $24 each. Give them a call or book online at apollohome.com. We appreciate them for sponsoring Cincinnati Soccer Talk for the 2024 season. Of course, check out our website, which has been on fire lately. We've got killer writers that are doing a great job out there. Spicing things up, making articles look better than Brian and I ever could in our heyday. So we want to give them a shout out, and let's get into your best and worst. We'll mix it up here a little bit and start with you, Biedenbach.
Yeah, I'm going to go my best. I think we saw some good goalkeeping this weekend. Celentano's had some great games, and Freeze from New York City had, I hate to say it, made some great saves against us, but man, I'm a sucker for good goalkeeper play. So yeah, that was my best, even though it went against us a couple times. My worst, man, running in straight lines. I feel like that's what our forwards do, is run in straight lines all the time. So you play with and we'll talk later probably, but you play with someone creative like Lucho, and you need to create some space, and our guys just straight down the field. And I don't know, we'll talk more later, but it doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it.
After you have Fernando Adi, you ask your forwards to stay on the straight and narrow, Brian. And I think that's what we've
little too literal on the pitch.
All right. We'll go to Jason next.
My best this week was Luca Oriano. I think this was his coming out party game. He's not quite to Mariano levels yet, but that'll come with time and experience. But I believe it was that pass. Was it him that made that pass to Kip Keller? Or no, he had a pass early in the game
to Penza.
To Penza that led to a good shot. Just on an absolute dime. He was carving people up like a Christmas ham there a couple of times. I mean, the dude
Easter ham.
Whichever. Ham is an any season pork dish.
He's just trying to be relevant because it's
whatever. Yeah, it is Easter.
I just like
Easter.
to throw Jason off his game.
And you do, and you know that I'm like.
Now that he's on Claritin tonight,
hopped up on Claritin D,
anything
boys.
goes.
Anything can happen. Anyway, Oriano, great game. But my worst, kind of to piggyback on what Brian said, I felt like Penza was a black hole this game. I know I'm a big Aaron Penza defender. I always will be, unless he does something really dumb. The guy was just not having his best game. He was not showing himself to the ball. If the ball came anywhere near him, he was laying off passes to no one. He had a few good looks, but we really need something more out of our top striker than what we were seeing this weekend.
All right. So you guys don't sound like a team that's fans of a team that's in first place. Let me tell you what. Brian Weigel
taking my thunder on my best. I was like, my best of the week is we're back in our normal spot, right on top. Everybody forgets those couple years in USL and that we were on top or fighting for first. So this is our rightful place. I'm sick and tired of these jokesters on The Athletic or whatever. The first thing they say, those 3 years of the wooden spoons. It's like, come on, guys. The page is flipped. The page is turned. The book is burned. And, that's a great thing to be talking about right now. But hey, I love the mentality of our guys. When things don't always go our way, we're still trying to create. We're still fighting. And you have got two guys that didn't have a great game in Penza and Baird still make that combo with Lucho to get the damn goal. So guess what? People are all pissed off about it, but that's a goal contribution with those two fellas. So yes, they're not in full form yet. I should have done more homework and seen how many goals they scored through the first X amount of games last year. But I'm still feeling pretty good. They're doing a lot of things, creating a lot of opportunities. But, if we do want to go get this slight kid from Ukraine, I'm cool doing that as well. Worst of the week? I don't know, man. I think it's back to the refs and the inconsistencies that we see, whether, like the Lucho yellow card. Are we really giving yellow cards for the guy kicking the ball because somebody's standing too close to them and then mouthing? I mean, it's a little ridiculous. I'm so ready to get these pro refs back in. It's damaging the game. I've been saying it from week one. This is a literally rounding error in the league's budget. Just freaking get it done. So that's my worst of the week. Can't wait.
I'm going to remind you said that. I'm just going to remind you that you wanted the pro referees back. When they come back, the first week,
so dumb,
and we lose because of some bad call. But it'd be like, Brian wanted them back.
Everybody. Hey, they're not perfect. They're not perfect, but they still get it's like the overturn rate and all this other. It's ridiculous. Like I think they miss 14% of calls that pro refs do or something like that, and these guys are missing 40 some odd percent. It's some ridiculous number.
Are they professional enough not to hold any grudges against our boy Matty Ice?
they're professional enough to want to critique within an inch the spot of every free kick and every throw and everything.
I'm so glad you said that.
It's
That bothered the crap out of me.
It was
The
brutal.
ball's 12 inches from the spot of the foul, and you stop the game twice to make sure the ball goes exactly in the spot. Like, I
More
understand
than that.
refs have to have control of the game, but not that is like
overkill.
oh, little league.
Yeah.
My favorite was when they had that handball in the box overturned, and it was clearly supposed to be FC Cincinnati's ball, and then they just said, nope, free kick to New York City.
Jay Yates, great comment. I feel like the replacements have been way better. Obviously, Brian's stats don't back that up, but I feel like up until this week, we never had to talk about them. They're literally installing like speakers that like they have a what's like a Big Brother, like a Big Brother type fellow and say, "Hey guys, that's a wrong call," or like literally radio into.
But isn't that what
into-
VAR does
I
anyway?
can't speak right now. Yes, kind of.
But isn't that the VAR policy? Is you have someone watching the whole time, and if they think that
But that's VAR. That's like going back to VAR, not just like, hey, that's a throw into the other team.
Yeah.
That ball went out of bounds.
There was a record number of VAR, Jason, and to your point, if this is where you're
Every
going,
week.
I think I'm not upset about that. If they want to keep going to VAR, I'm okay with it because I'd rather have that like a humble maybe we got this wrong than I'm right.
You say that, but wait until you have 6 kids over your house for a sleepover watching the game, asking me why is there 13 minutes of stoppage time 15 times in a row. That's enough.
I think it was a Jay's comment you just put up there. We never had to talk about them previously. I think we thought we would be done with them at this point, and so it was easy to overlook. I think the first couple matches, and now it's just dragging on, and it needs to be talked about. I think as part of that.
I mean, there have been other games that the referees. We've been kind of lucky, I think, that this is really the first time I think that the referees have been just demonstrably bad. But I think what really brought it to a head this week was the Columbus offside situation. And, you can't have your champions getting, actually it was a right call, but you're going to have a lot more controversy when it's your champions getting a controversial call.
But I thought they wanted Miami to maintain first place or something. That was the conspiracy.
Well, that's why PSRA refs are coming back.
Yeah. You want Miami to win, you bring the union refs back.
I did see that one thrown out there before we won, and it looked like Miami might get in first place. I did see that out there. Some Crew fans are saying that it was all a scheme to get Miami back in first, and then Miami just got shell-shocked. So don't know how that worked out very well for them.
Did you guys see that Charlotte has they're 4-0 versus Columbus all time? It's like some stupid stat. I'm like, this is BS. Teach us your ways.
Every team has that one team that has their number.
I don't want to play like Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to play like Charlotte. I don't want Charlotte's record, but I would like their ability to beat the Crew. I'll give you that. All right, I'll get into my best and worst so we can move on. Best, I think, is the scheduling gods giving us a nice, cozy bottom of the table while FC Cincinnati needed a break. I spoke about it at the beginning of the show, the top of the show. I think it's very helpful to play the Revolution and New York City FC right now. Also a confidence booster for the new guys on FC Cincinnati, making sure they can still do it as well. Would like to see if Lucho can still run all over the best teams in the league by himself, but I'm hoping we get our strikers back in action, as you guys were talking about earlier. My worst, everybody told me that AJ's Cheesesteaks was an amazing restaurant in TQL Stadium. So finally, after years, I saved up my hunger, did not go out to eat before the game, just had a liquid diet, show up ready for the legendary AJ Cheesesteak. And let me tell you, I was utterly disappointed, just absolutely disappointed. It was light on filling, not a lot in there. Mushrooms and banana peppers were pretty bland. It all just was... Give me some Penn Station. I'll take a Penn Station Philly cheesesteak. Sorry, AJ. Was not impressed. now I'm seeing the Footy Scran website post Korean fries, and looking forward to being either thrilled or disappointed again soon.
I've already made it a point on what is it, April 6th, the next home game, to try those Korean fries.
Wait, that's a thing that's really like in our stadium?
Yeah, the Footy, the Scran the Twitter famous one on Twitter that always does football food. They posted finally not a cheese coney. This time it was actually something that looked edible.
All right. So seriously, if you're watching this show right now and you have a second, please put your favorite food recommendations up. I'd love to see more things that I have no clue about, because all I have is the taco place, the Skyline, and La Rosa's by me.
Gomez or some other taco
No,
place?
it's Taqueria, something. I don't know, El Rancho Grande, something like that.
All right. Let's actually get into the game, I guess. Home versus New York City FC, won by 1-0. Could have been 2-0. There's a goal called back. And
Could have been 4-0. Penza.
Brian thinks it could have been 4-0. He's going with the XG possibilities. Overall, though, a pretty good game by the Orange and Blue. New York City FC threatening a couple times. I'm looking forward. Let's get your takes in here. Jason, man, what stood out to you this game?
What stood out to me was, I think it was really the Lucho show. I talked about Oriano to begin with, but Lucho, I don't think he had a very good game overall. I think he's been playing kind of hurt lately, and you could see a little bit of the mustard was kind of taken out of some of his passes. But at the same time, when he decided, quit laughing, when he decided, hey, it's time to score a goal, just the ability of that man to turn the game on its head never ceases to amaze me. And let's hope that he, knock on wood, he stays healthy all season, because, I don't want him to be our leading scorer, but if things continue the way they are, we're going to need him.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
I'll jump in there. I think he had a good game for sure. I think part of it is because players like Oriano are coming on. I think it's relieving a little bit of pressure around him. He still moves a lot. He does control the game, but I think when you've got to watch someone like Oriano coming out of the back on that left side that can put a ball on a dime like he did to Penza, it does allow Lucho to get opened up a little bit more. But I think, man, I was nervous. I'll be honest. At the beginning of the game, New York City was pressing. We looked like we were struggling to get the ball out of the back. I was a little worried about this game. I don't think it was I don't think we had possession as much as maybe we felt like, just because the press was on so much and we struggled getting out so much. I think second half was a little bit of a different story. It felt a little bit like a Red Bull New York game to me. High press, really fast to the ball, and taking players out any opportunity they could.
Now that you say that, I've noticed that about the several games recently, that FC Cincinnati's let the other team really come at them in the first 15, 20, 25 minutes, and then waits for them to slow down. Mm-hmm. And just kind of like says, all right, we got one of the best defenses in the league. You want to run at us for 35 minutes, you can until you exhaust yourself, and then we're going to play our style of game. And so far, the defense has held up.
Is that because our defense is so stout, or we don't have the offensive firepower clicking yet, that when we attack, we can't keep it up?
I wish I knew.
I think it's a little bit of both.
That's got to be.
But I do think you have a point. I mean, last year we had a very veteran midfield all playing together, who had been together for 2 years, with Junior and Acosta and Obi and Barrial all playing together. And there's something to be said for the experience of playing together. I mean, we're 5 games into the season, and that's only 5 weeks of actual game time. And I don't think we've had our number one team out there this entire time, with the exception of maybe against Monterey.
I think it's a good point. It's just something I've noticed. It's one of those little bitty trends, and it's different compared to previous years when we're getting pressed on and panicking. I've been mostly confident. You know, the defensive back line's held pretty stout. Celentano's made some great saves. Bry.
Well, I think that something that you can call out, whether he's been tremendous or not, or whatever your thoughts are, but Pavel Buka's ability to possess the ball a little bit more. In the past, it was pass the ball to Obi, hope he can maybe break a dribble off and then pass it off if we're getting a lot of pressure, because Junior was literally just a pass back to Yerson Mosquera or Miazga. So I do like that Buka gets up and turns and tries to play the ball forward. Again, it's not always perfect, but I mean, I still see a lot of hope out of this team. Mm-hmm. Even some of the younger guys or like Luca have been impressive. Kip Keller, Ian Murphy playing balls from time to time.
What score would you give on a scale of 1 to 10 that slide that he made after his goal got called back?
That was awesome.
He went the full crocodile mile on that one.
Reminded me of like a slip and slide, when you're like 8 years old.
100%. I give him a 10. 10 of 10.
Breaks my heart. Really does. That didn't stand. Like, so the best part is like, I said I had a bunch of kids over my house for a sleepover. They're all in the hot tub watching the game out in the patio, and they freaking just lost their ever-loving minds, and they're all like, ah! Like seeing how he dove. I thought that was awesome. So screw you, refs and VAR and everything else.
The first time one of your players tries that, Brian,
dude,
nose goes right in the crowd.
Oh my God.
It's a dry field.
They're all doing the Ronaldo. It's driving me crazy.
I just know that when I was going to sleepovers, I was running in different socioeconomic circles than Brian's kids, because there was no hot tub party at any of my sleepovers when I was a kid.
Okay, mister, I have a camper. Stop it.
I got a camper when I turned 39.
Jason was jumping in other people's hot tubs, pool hopping as he went.
You were lucky to get an above ground pool. All right.
That's a good take. I like that. Oh man, we had you guys touched on at the beginning. Some fans would say that Corey Baird and Boo Penza are still struggling. I guess we can throw Santos into the mix as well. Is this actually a problem for a team sitting in first place? Will it come down to haunt us, or is it time for FC Cincinnati to really start? Chris Albright to pick up the phone and call more countries to figure out how to solve this problem.
Well, Brandon Vasquez left and scored like 8 goals, exactly what he scored last year. So is it a thing with Coach Noonan or Lucho or what? But it does give you a little head scratch. Could we always, make the joke about Penza and not having a right foot and, Baird running into Lucho? Yeah, sure. But when it's to me is that they're just not finishing the chances that you would hope guys at that level and how much they're making would do. Like Penza needs to finish that goal. 12 men called him out a month ago, and we all were like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." Well, we're looking a little shaky there, Boop. So, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about what's it like? 10 seconds to midnight or 30 seconds to midnight till the world blows up or whatever. I'm kind of starting to think we might need to start blowing this up a little bit. Yes, we are doing positive things, but we need somebody in that striker room that pushes somebody to actually do something, because it's not Santos.
Everybody talks about Brandon Vasquez's movement, his motion off the ball and the runs he makes. And it's, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Right. And without that, I think we're seeing, again, I keep going back to running in straight lines. I could point out play after play after play where Lucho's dribbling and he's keeping the ball on his foot. It's a little frustrating, but he's got Penza on his left and Baird on his right running, barreling straight down instead of one of them peeling off to the side, opening up some space where there's a passing lane now or a lane for Lucho to dribble. I think that's where, we go back to Santos. I think that's where he excelled early on. Is we had some creative forwards that moved and created space, and he came in late in the game. Defenders are tired. and ran in a straight line and just blew past everybody. I think all of our strikers right now are running in those straight lines, and it's just easy to defend.
Yeah, I know like somebody's fans of some team at 9th or below are probably listening and screaming at us like, you selfish bricks. But no, it could theoretically be a problem, and I think that's what we're identifying here, right? Is if Lucho Acosta doesn't show up and save the day, and we've had those games, you're either going to be 0-0 or you're going to need like Powell or, Michael Robinson to come in there and head the ball in the goal. So we've got to get some kind of traction there. Do you think it's just simply a matter of finding a striker that works well with Acosta? Or because, I mean, he's not going anywhere, so your team has to play around him. Or is it that these guys just need a little bit more training, a little bit more time out on the pitch? Everybody's still rusty. I mean, I'm actually torn. I don't know if the solution is off the roster, or if magically by July we've got 2 forwards banging in goals.
I think, first of all, I think we're expecting more of Corey Baird than they really should have. Yes, he had a career year last year, but he had 8 goals. That was not a lot. And I mean, heck, that's Brandon Vasquez numbers. And so I think we're coming in expecting him to surpass that. If you get 7 or 8 goals out of him, that's great. I think where the problem lies is he and Penza are trying to play the same position. You don't have one guy who's a target striker. You have 2 very mobile strikers. And what Vasquez was able to do last year was be that target and be that poacher. Even though he didn't score as much, he was still able to peel guys away. And Brian's right. If they're both moving in the exact same way and crowding the box, that's not helping anybody. And I mean, I think we saw at the end of last season, Penza and Acosta started getting on the same page. But at the same time, you had Vasquez, who was still there taking up bodies. At some point, I think once Penza is able to score 1 or 2, or Baird is able to put 1 in the net, then people are going to start taking them a little bit more seriously. But before the match, even Noonan was like, hey, we need to start getting some production out of Penza because he's our number 1 guy, and that's what's expected of him.
Rupesh put, honestly, what is blowing it up now get you? Nothing's getting blown up. The only way we'd be blowing something up is if we miraculously sold Penza back to Saudi Arabia or wherever he wants to go. It's just adding another tool. We don't have the target, kind of what Jason said, and you need to have different options for different teams that you play. If we can have a great, luck getting a U20, U22 that can act like Vasquez and be that guy every game, great. But I mean, I think we definitely need another option. Maybe somebody that can, win a header in the box. Just novel idea, right?
Going back to give a shout out to Coach's show, Talking Tactics, a few weeks ago. I remember something Justin Hoyt said he was asking about what does it look like to play with someone like they're talking about Manu Ledesma at the time. And he said, you just make the run. You just make the run. You never know if the ball's coming to you. The guy's so creative with his feet. You just get there. And if it comes to you, you better be ready for it. And some of that I think comes with experience. We got a lot of new guys playing with Lucho, someone that's really creative, looking for someone to make that creative run. And so far, no one's making it. I think there's hope, and I think it'll come with time. I just wish it would come sooner than later. But I do think there's hope with that you got to read the player and just hope the ball comes to you instead of peeling off your run if you don't think it's going to get there. Penza. And Baird running straight ahead, waiting for the ball through that might not get there. So I think it'll come with time. I'm hopeful. Eternal optimist here.
I think that's a good take. Shout out Justin Hoyt. Lucho is very creative. And now that you mention it, and now that I've heard Justin Hoyt say it, I think you're right. Why on earth if you have one of the best 10s in the league, are you not putting yourself in position to be rewarded by one of the best 10s in the league, or at least spreading out. I think that's the biggest difference for me from last year's team to this year's team is we were spread out. Barreal added so much width that the opposing team could not hunker down and double triple guard Brandon Vasquez like they could. Even Boot benefited from that. And so a little tight. Everybody knows Lucho's going to try to cut through the middle, do some fancy footwork thing, which does pay off every now and then. Lucho believers are back in full force, obviously, after he wins you 2 games in a row. All right, what about the defense though? Celentano got some criticism early in the year, I think, preseason especially. To start with, everybody was wondering if the young kids still had it to start, and we've seen some Brian put here that he had a good game. And then not only that, we had Mr. Nick Hagelin making his return. The crowd, were any of you at the game? The crowd roared when Nick Hagelin. They didn't even say his name yet. Just seeing the Cincinnati kid on the sideline, and it was, it almost took me back. I was like, wow, I haven't seen people this hyped since Lucho got announced MVP.
Yeah, you could hear it on the stream really well. It's good to see Hagelin back. It's good that we have that depth back. I was pretty impressed with our back 3, considering, and Yedlin, of course, too, but considering that other than Miazga, the other Murphy is maybe another number 1 guy, but we didn't really know what we had in Kip Keller. And granted, he's young, but I was really impressed, not just with his amazing sliding abilities, but defensively, they held their own pretty well. And it was I think we're going to do well this season because Celentano's not going to see a lot of shots. And the fact that he did see a few this game kind of shows we didn't have our number 1 team out there. But I mean, if this is your number 2 squad, yeah, that's a great problem to have.
I'll judge our team if we can shut out Cucho and all those guys in Columbus versus New York. I don't know about any of you guys, but props to Nick Hagelin for taking that guy's face off. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Never seen it pass to a face so hard in my life. He scared me quite a bit when he first came on, and I hope he gets more time to get back into his realm. But, we do have that luxury of Kip Keller, who's outplaying his contract right now. And I think he's 4 or 5 starts plus whatever Leagues Cup, or not Leagues Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup matches. So yeah, I'm very happy with our depth there. It's what we knew we were going to be, a solid defensive team when you have a lockdown center back captain, Matt Miazga, who makes sure everybody's in the right positions. I mean, you saw the issues we have without him in the playoffs, and he's back and he's that nice security blanket. So when you have Ian Murphy and Kip Keller, you're going to be organized. It's just that one mistake every game that we give up. And when Celentano's there, like he's been, props to them all. Shout out to Miazga getting the Team of the Week nod. But man, just going back to Kip Keller and that goal, I'm pretty pissed off.
All right, let's get Coach's thoughts. But before we do that, we're going to give a shout out to Beyond Exercise, the local physical therapy and fitness business that helps anyone get active and stay active. Speaking of Nick Hagelin, he's back in action, and they helped him this offseason with physical therapy and strength training. Ask the fellows at Beyond Exercise about their ACL prevention screening, which was piloted by Nick and Brandon. Look more at gobeyondexercise.com. Thank them for being our second half sponsor in 2024. All right, let's see what Coach has to talk about this week and his tactical takeaway, and then we will move on to some fun stuff.
Hey, everybody, it's time for Coach's Tactical Takeaway, a segment where I'm going to come in each week and let you know one tactical idea that's on my mind from the past week. And here it is for match day number 5. I want to talk about this team's pressing cues. Why? Because we've seen them employ a little bit of a different formation. I talked about it last week. They've been playing with 2 attacking midfielders under a lone striker, and this changes the way they defend. When they press the opponent, instead of Lucho Acosta coming forward as the central attacking midfielder and those two strikers split wide of him, pressing the opponent, now that single high forward. In this past match, it was Aaron Penza is leading the press. That player has to do a good job of cutting the field in half for his team. Simply put, if he is pressing a center back, his team needs to know which direction that center back is going to play. Lucho Acosta is brilliant at this. When they press out of the 3-4-1-2 with Lucho as the 1, he presses up through the middle with 2 forwards to each side of him. He picks a direction. He steps in a passing lane. He presses, and the forward on that side and the wing back on that side and the 2 defensive center midfielders know with virtual certainty where that ball is going. It allows them to set a pressure pocket. The ball goes to an outside defender, and they converge on that player. Aaron Penza, by contrast, was having a little bit of a difficult time. He would press from one side, from the right or the left, but because he wasn't in a passing lane, that ball would play too easily through the middle of the field to an NYCFC player, usually like a Santi Rodriguez dropping in off the back line as an unmarked player. When that spare midfielder wasn't there, the team looked great. When Penza happened to be in a passing lane, the press looked great. However, just that little pressing cue has changed. And I think with some time, they can get back on track. But as of now, I'm going to be watching. Do they abandon this formation altogether? Do they continue it? And does the press get better? Or do they do something different and have somebody else trigger the press? Maybe still play in the 3-4-2-1, but have Lucho Acosta initiate that press anyway. That's what I'm going to be watching going forward. That's it for Coach's Tactical Takeaway for Week 5. If you want to get more content like this, make sure you head on over and get subscribed to Talking Tactics with Coach Goff, where Justin Hoyt and I break down each and every match. We just finished breaking down the NYCFC match. I really think you'll like it. Get subscribed today.
All right, big shout out to Coach there. He started talking about a press, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we nailed it, guys!" And then it was the opposite direction. So, a bummer for us. But if we can touch on what Coach is going to talk about before we talk about it, I see it as a win for all of us. You know, like we're smart, we're on top of it. Now, if you are into the nitty gritty, when he starts saying numbers like 2, 3, 4, 1, whatever, that's the place to go. If you're one of those fans that knows exactly, he followed that word for word. His podcast is pretty freaking great and pretty sweet. FC Cincinnati gets a chance to do what Columbus couldn't do, and that's take on Charlotte at Charlotte. And so getting tough. We are a little bit concerned. I think one of the first times, not for Lucho, but maybe for some of the other players on this team, Charlotte has a turf field, and not just any turf field. You hear a lot of players complain about this one ever since they've come into the league, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. NFL players rip it up all winter, and then FC Cincinnati gets to go down there and play on it. Brian, this is your segment, so I kind of want to know, are you concerned? Are you holding out Miles?
I think there's concern across the board. I think you got to experiment some tough decisions with Hagelin as a backup, with Wobodo, with Miles. I mean, Miles played this past week essentially on concrete in Dallas. Yes, he played up in Foxborough, but this is definitely a turf monster game. You saw, I think, Rudy Camacho blow his knee out this week. I think there was another injury with Columbus. Just very concerning for me. There's so much to do that I would rather us be a little bit more conservative with some of these decisions. And I mean, I guess Miles probably will be coming back in, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So yeah, I definitely think that there's some realistic expectation that we might be holding some of these players out for this match. I mean, it's not like Charlotte are, lighting the world on fire. So I don't think you have to go all like full subs, but if there's any chances out there where we need to worry about risking Miles or Nick or Obi, I think you sit them.
It's amazing to me that Soldier Field in Chicago, of all places, can have natural grass.
Charlotte can't. Charlotte ripped it up. Charlotte had it.
Yeah, I know.
They had it.
Amazing to me. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I get nervous, and even with like Lucho and Boop and all those guys. I mean, you can't sit everybody, but with guys with ACL issues in the past or knee issues, I don't see a chance to risk it. It kills me to say that, and I know you want to attack every game out there, but this is the one place where I'm just like I'm holding my breath the entire match.
What if, here's a funny thought. What if like you're Miles and Pat Noonan's like, hey, you're too valuable, buddy. We can't put you out there. Hey, Nick, get your cleats. Let's go.
No, Kip Keller and Ian, hey, get your butts going.
I'd be like, well, what, coach? You don't care about my ACL?
if I was my pro youth coach going on two club matches here, I would just go up to the kid and say, I would go up to Kip Keller and say, hey, Kip, I want to see you dive and score a goal like that again. That's what I want you to focus on the whole match, because you can get a little bit more,
turf
a little
burn.
more oomph.
Turf burn all the way down.
Oh shoot, man!
No,
I just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's game 6, and we've had a lot of schedule congestion. I think it's realistic for us to have this expectation that we might not be seeing everybody out there this week.
Yeah, I'm with Brian. I think this might be a pack it in kind of game. I mean, it's so early in the season. No one's expecting Charlotte to really do much, and I mean, I think for the club, the goal is to get a home playoff game. So if you happen to drop one at Charlotte because you don't want to risk your players' health, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. Another issue I think that's going to rear its ugly head too, coming up soon, is card accumulation. Because isn't like Lucho is, I think, sitting on 3?
I think he's got 3.
Yeah, 3 yellow cards right now, and
his life as an FCC fan.
Yeah, and that's a problem. So, maybe I'm sure you'd have to like duct tape him to the bench to keep him from playing, but maybe don't run Lucho out as a starter.
Yeah, he'll be out there. You don't get a say, neither does Pat Noonan.
But he didn't play it. He came in as a sub.
Yeah, I was shocked.
When was it, Chicago?
No, in New England, but at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
At halftime. Like, Pat Noonan waits for those subs, and the fact that he had to make the sub after 45 minutes, the entire half, Lucho's in there like, hey, why am I not in this game? Hey. And like, he was supposed to be on restricted minutes because of his light injury. And he was not supposed to come in at half, from what I understand. It was supposed to be more like the 75th minute. But you just don't tell Lucho no. And he showed you why. It's one thing to beg your coach to come in and then you don't do anything, and the coach is like, all right, never again. But like, you go in and do what he does, no brainer.
Just don't give him a plane ticket. Pretty easy.
He'll find a way.
Yeah,
he'll get in.
He will Uber to Charlotte.
He's so small he can get into check luggage.
He will get there.
My son measures everybody to the. Is that person taller or shorter than Lucho Acosta? Yet to say shorter.
So I'm going back to the turf issue. I may be speaking completely out of ignorance here, because I don't know what happens much between the level my son plays and the professional level where they play it mostly on natural grass. But I know my son's playing on a lot of turf fields right now. Are like FCC2, the younger players, do they play on a lot of turf fields? I just wonder if running out some of the younger guys that have fresher legs that are more used to running on turf is a good option to start and save the guys like Lucho later on.
NKU is a turf field, I think.
They're switching it over, though.
But they are switching it over as part
of
the deal with FC Cincinnati.
But yeah, you're right. It is a lot more generous. I mean, not to say younger people can still obviously get hurt. Players in the NFL every year. In fact, there's a big push even in that league to go to a grass fields and grass. But anybody can get hurt because it just depends on the condition of that turf field, where you're at, and what you hit when you go. I think it's been almost scientifically proven, if not scientifically proven, that they are worse for you. I just think that coming off, and you can't avoid it. We're not sitting here asking FC Cincinnati to forfeit the game or anything unreasonable. I think at the end of the day, the point being made on this show is, Obi's a no-brainer. Don't rush him back on one of the worst pitches in Major League Soccer. Some of your other guys, Hagelin probably shouldn't do it because he's coming back off an injury. And then play the guys you think can have the confidence and do okay out there.
Do y'all want to hear something interesting though?
Yes.
So the Lancet, which is an actual medical journal, peer reviewed, they've published some things in the past that they've had to retract. So this may be one of them. But I just for fun found a paper on the Lancet where they actually studied injury rates of soccer on artificial turf versus grass. And it says the overall incidence of football injuries is lower on artificial turf than on grass. Based on these findings, the risk of injury can't be used as an argument against artificial turf when considering optimal playing conditions for football.
What about the severity? Because I think that's the argument I've heard. Is that if you get hurt, it's worse usually.
It's I didn't see anything about severity. I think there's this guy on TikTok that does facts that aren't true, and this is one of them. I'm sure it doesn't feel good. I mean, I'm too old to ever have played on field turf. The alternate we had when I was a kid was legit AstroTurf, and that stuff sucked. But it was just a carpet. But yeah, I think. But if the players have it in their mind that they're going to get hurt, maybe sometimes when you think you're going to get hurt, you play stiffer or you play in a way that causes you to, I don't know, be tighter and not maybe put yourself in position to get hurt. So.
Well, I didn't mean to spend this much time on it, but that's a pretty unique. I don't think we've had this conversation before, so I enjoyed it, and I liked getting everybody's thoughts. I think we're in the minority, though. It seems like most people in our chat say we're superstitious, and we just play the dang game.
I'm just a little stitious.
But we lots of cool news around the soccer world. Our good pal Miles Robertson, of course, getting called up for international duty, playing for the United States men's national team. I don't know what you guys, the odds and the chances you gave the U.S. team going into this tournament, but I don't know if a ton of people thought it would be U.S.-Mexico again, and then that they would win a third straight. But congrats to the United States men's national team for their victory. And oh my goodness, did anyone see that first goal? Like right between, it was like a diving nutmeg. I don't know if I've seen that before. You guys know what I'm talking about? The
Tyler Adams goal?
Was it Tyler Adams, or am I getting confused with the second goal? At one point,
no, it was Adams when he hit that absolute bullet. And Bubbles, it was 2023 for the Lancet article, by the way. When he hit that absolute bullet, it went right between the dude's legs.
Yeah. So
that was awesome.
The Mexican defender jumps up to stop. Like they realize, oh no, we've given Adams. Yeah, he's far out, but we've given him way too much room. And he feet first dives forward, and so the ball ends up going between his feet like this, and nutmegs him. But he's in the air. Like horizontal. I was like, that is the coolest almost block, but looks like you got nutmegged goal I've ever seen from downtown. I think I saw somebody say, I saw a meme today that was like Tyler Adams with an XG chance of 0.002%. And I'm gonna do this anyway. Take it home. That was a gorgeous goal. But congrats to the US team. Miles played versus Jamaica, looked really, really good out there. And he was on the bench last night. Did he get in? I missed the very end.
No.
All right, fresher legs for us then. I'm not going to complain. And do look forward to having him back.
Did you watch the rest of that match? I saw the end of the second half. In it, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't the CONCACAF-iest match I've ever seen. Especially the recent history between USA and Mexico.
They should have called that match. Like we're still talking Mexico, right?
Yeah. The chants were going on, but the play on the field was not as dirty and nasty as I've seen in recent history.
Mexico seemed
U.S. Mexico's lost its bite. Is that what you're saying?
Mexico seemed like they didn't want to be there. I think maybe they don't have the belief that they can beat the U.S. in the U.S. It's been something like 400 and some minutes of soccer since they've beaten the U.S.
Comments channel up after this, man.
I think was it since they've beaten us or since they've scored on
it might have been
US
since
soil?
they scored.
It was a
like
pretty big stat.
Yeah. I think you're right. It has lost some of its bite. It's the Nations League. I don't think it's players take it that seriously, but at the same time, like if you go into a rivalry and it's very one-sided, sometimes that can kind of take a little bite out of it.
I mean, I'm just glad that we won those games. Miles played well, and we are not going to lose Pat Noonan to the U.S. men's national team anytime soon. So happy there. Stay away.
Speaking of coaching changes, do you believe this stuff about Nancy possibly getting poached by the Crew? I mean, he just got there.
Was this real, or was this started by a Nashville SC fan?
I haven't seen anything else other than that one tweet.
I have started to see Crew fans online start to question and wonder.
They're going to do everything they can because they want to make their guy look better.
I could see him getting poached
by Southampton.
Yeah.
No.
Because he's not American.
Oh, that's it.
And not, I mean, he's a good coach, and he's
bunch of guys love falling up out of this league. I will say that. Fall up everywhere. Like Gerhard Struber, isn't he like at Salzburg or somewhere else? Like something ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think Rupesh is right. I think it was started by the dude at Nashville, and I haven't seen anything.
I'm right. I said it.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying. This is called engagement, Brian.
Okay. Rupesh yells at me the whole time. It's not engagement. He's mean. I'm going to see him Thursday, though. Hopefully see you at opening day Thursday, Roop. Buy me a beer.
Engagement is something that I've had to deal with a lot on Twitter this past week. So, yeah.
I feel like that's a recurring theme.
There was a Nutmeg article about you, Jason.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Nutmeg news article about Jason. Go check it out.
I don't believe you. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, check it out. You'll know exactly what it is when you see it. You brought it up a little bit earlier, Bri. Kevin Kelsey rumors. This is the Ukrainian guy I saw throw through on Reddit today. That's how I learned about it.
Hey, Territorial MLS reported it. Must be true.
I'm not excited if that's the case because it's like 2 goals in 8 games or something. It's not that great.
And the kid's 19 years old.
19.
He's played 1 year in Ukraine. I cannot imagine the mental strain that would do.
Jason's losing it, so I think he found the article.
Is he really?
Yeah, it's not about me, but it's...
Song isn't about you. Don't.
Soccer supporter settles into familiar springtime routine of arguing with complete strangers online.
Oh, yeah.
I read that and I was like, oh, man, Jason.
Yeah, so he's Venezuelan, plays for Shakhtar. He's 19 years old. He moved there a year ago for $1 million. I would think it would probably take quite a considerable chunk of change to make that move happen. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I know there's been several rumors linking young players, U22 roster initiative guys, and so he fits the bill. And
the offer's been made according to the rumors, right? The offer's been made. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't. It just doesn't seem very Albrighty to me. But I'm being corrected.
What does Albrighty mean? He's in a 3rd-tier league. He's young.
Just don't have the vibe.
Okay. All right.
Albrighty's a feeling. It's not a logical thing. It's a feeling.
It's a feeling.
Is it something to light a fire under the guys that are already here? Like, let's start some rumors. We're bringing in a young guy.
So, I mean, it has
start putting the ball in the net.
It has to be. We just loaned out Marco Angulo, who's a U22 initiative, so we can replace him for a minimal cap hit that's not going to change anything for our roster budget. So I think we have 2 senior roster spots. So it makes a ton of sense. If we have more U22 spots available coming in the summer, which they're saying that we're going to have, Maybe we can go out and get a more higher paid player then. But I mean, U22 makes a lot of sense if we can get it done before the window closes here in a couple weeks.
Venezuelan, I am 100% wrong. That's what I get for reading something 2 seconds before.
I just said Venezuelan.
I had to correct
He
myself.
doesn't listen to me.
Just in case.
It's like my wife. You're my podcast wife. You're not cute, though.
I don't know where to go now.
Yeah, do we just let that linger there, Jason, or do we?
It's 2024, fellas. Get with it.
I mean, everybody's a little cute in their own way,
Yeah.
Can you do that voice again?
And there's the Claritin.
It's the Claritin. No, he's been sipping bourbon too. He's been slowly leaning out of the picture, taking the bourbon and the Claritin. You know how it's great. Can you pop a NyQuil for me too, just to see what happens?
Oh my gosh, I
Text
would
me
be
at
gone.
4 a.m. God, that'd be amazing.
All righty, let's give a shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon. Red Lee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stephens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian Waggle, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, rolling over here, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroad, Carl Fight, Christina Sharma, Kyle Pohl, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason Who's Super Average, Ryan Ernst, Wes Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Stepp, Pierce Johnson, Mike Parentis, David Wiederhold, Rob Cassell, Bradley Weigel, Alex Carnegus, Dave Tingler, Patrick Lahani, Mike Bowman, Brett Sova, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, David Moore, Bob Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, Rob Trippel, Joe Lohr, Bill Leopold, Marine, Jose, John Cafardi, Justin Blair, Ashley Newhouse, Dan Burns, Mike Clippinger, Justin Gregory, said, Jeff Tabbets, The Troll, Jackson Fight, Matt Bauer, Pete Katch, Mark Godsey, Todd Schrienbach, and Eric Johnson. Thank you all so much for supporting Cincinnati Soccer Talk each and every month. We appreciate you. Let's get into these guys' final thoughts before Brian proposes to me. And we will start with you, Jason.
Oh man, final thought. Other than the purple elephant that is now inside my window. My final thought. So this week was a lot of fun. The U.S. Open Cup kicked off, and the second round happened. And
did you watch it, Brian?
No.
The Des Moines Menace had to delay their game.
It wasn't there. It was at the California club that hosted them.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever game it was, California. Anyway, the game didn't start on time because a high school lacrosse club was playing, and their game went over. Therefore, meaning that kickoff couldn't start. You feel like you want to say something, Brian? Okay,
yeah, keep going, bud. Keep going.
Anyway, and so on Twitter, I made the comment that this is something that we need to take care of for a tournament as prestigious as the U.S. Open Cup. This kind of crap shouldn't happen. You should block out time. If it's in California, there's plenty of fields they could have played on, and U.S. Soccer should be there to pay for it. That's the only point I was trying to make. That opened up the floodgates of gatekeeping. Y'all, I was told that I did not support lower league soccer because I supported the Real Monarchs and they were a MLS affiliate, and I also was an FCC fan, and that didn't count because they had MLS aspirations. We got a smoke bomb. Stop effing gatekeeping in soccer. If you want people to enjoy this sport, let them enjoy this sport. I know these are the same types of people that get mad that pretty girls like D&D now, but let people enjoy it. And I hope that your team, in particular, guy who is gatekeeping me, that your mystery owner sells his shares to an MLS team that will come into the Motor City.
I knew you were talking about him.
I hope that happens so that I can laugh at the loss of your club, like you have over the loss of so many other clubs around this country, you self-righteous bag of dirt.
They would I get to this point, Jason, it's because there's literally more people advocating to keeping the tournament as crappy and equal to what it is now than actually making changes to the tournament. Like I said this to a bunch of people in St. Louis this week. Like they're like, oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. No, like legitimately, U.S. soccer should give like these teams, like this California team or whatever, if they really want to grow the game, give them a scholarship, give them a $5,000 or $10,000 scholarship to make it a banger party. Like just freaking rage it out. Like Vermont, like do all these extra things to actually grow the game. Give, free tickets, however they want to spend that money. And buy the high school team, rent them time on another field. Like seriously, this cannot happen. Well, and it's on the federation for not endorsing the product, but yet it's MLS's fault. Sorry, I could go an hour on this crap.
But Brian, you worked in college sports too,
God.
so you know this. So when Selection Sunday happens, that's not just Selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament. That's Selection Sunday for the NIT.
CBI.
It used to be the CBI and the CIT.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact, because I worked at one, there are tiny schools with maybe a $2 million athletic budget that can turn around and host the CBI game, and that is more well run than the U.S. Open Cup. The CBI.
There's more employees for the CBI and the CIT than there are for the U.S. Open.
And I get it. The CBI went away. COVID killed it.
No.
It's in one spot
going on right now. CITs. Yeah.
It's in
High Point
place.
Panthers are in semis. Let's go.
Yeah, go High Point. But that's ridiculous. Like the FA Cup has so much backing behind it. If you want this tournament to be prestigious, you can't have streams at like 720p. You can't have, cameras out of focus, and you can't have fields being taken up by a peewee team. Be professional. And I caveated all of that by saying MLS should participate, but it needs to be professional. And I'm done with the Open Cup. I will never speak of it again until somebody wins it.
Until next week on this show and our final thought. Thanks, guys. I didn't expect that. I expected two of you to not have a final thought. And,
I'm dumping Boston. So come on, Jason, let's go. Run away together.
All right, Bietenbach.
Yeah, man, I don't have anything that can rival that for my final thought. So I'm going to just give a shout out to my wife on this one. She was talking to my daughter who was playing FIFA with some of her friends, and they were playing with Nashville, and my wife was getting on her case, and she looks at me and goes, wait, Nashville's the team we hate, right? And I said, yes. So she's relaying that to my daughter at college, telling her we hate Nashville. Don't ever play with them again. So it was a super proud moment in my life last night. So that's all I got for a final thought.
Mom of the year right there.
Amazing.
That's it.
Man, Jason said girls play D&D now. You're saying they play FIFA. I was born in the wrong era. What's going on?
To be fair, I think she was watching somebody play FIFA, but whatever.
Oh, I got nothing. Just enjoy whatever you want to do. Somebody talk to AJ and get Boston a cheesesteak. He gets angry when he's hungry. Can't grab a Snickers.
I went out on a limb, Brian. This is really what it is. I traditionally take the wife out to eat before the game. She gets a nice restaurant. I get beers at the stadium. Everybody's happy. But I said, you know what? We're old. And I'm sick of being old, and I want to go do the supporter group thing again. I want to go to the bar 3.5 hours before the game, hang out with the guys, and have drinks, and then eat whenever we can fit it in. We don't need fancy food this week. Let's go live it up with old school style, like back in those Mecklenburg days when you didn't worry about it till you got to the stadium and you were starving. So that's what we did. And I said it would be okay and it would be fine. And then I served her up the lamest cheesesteak you could serve up. And so she wasn't very happy with me. So.
Was she more mad at the cheesesteak or the tart you brought her? You guys need to know Boston's affinity for tarts.
But I think
it's just gonna skip right over it.
Do we need to know that?
I think it was the cheesesteak. We have a old man ultra in the chat tonight, and he says he's offended that we're calling ourselves old when he's here. Don't worry, Bubbles. You're always the oldest among us, and you can hang it out there. Cool podcast, by the way. If you haven't ever checked.
Yes, they just released an episode.
Did they?
Mhm.
I feel like I waited 9 months. It's finally out.
You could have had a baby in the time that took.
No,
Says the purple elephant in the window.
the wheels are falling off.
He's staring right at me.
We appreciate you staying tuned and listening to Cincinnati Soccer Talk tonight, live, or tomorrow, or forever on the podcast. We appreciate it. We will see you again next week.